Part 1.16, Barabbas is set free.
Pilate was looking for ways to free me. He was worried because of his wife's warning and confused between the feelings of remorse from his conscience and the fear that the people would initiate a riot against him. In the pitiful state I was in, he exposed me to the sight of the mob, proposing to them that I be freed and condemn Barabbas, a famous thief and criminal, in my place. The people answered in one voice, "Let him die and let Barabbas be set free." Souls who love me, see how they have compared me to a criminal. See how they have reduced me to lower than the most perverse of men. Listen to the furious shouts hurled against me. See with what rage they ask for my death. Did I refuse to endure such a painful insult? No, on the contrary, I embraced it for my love of souls and to show them that this love did not only lead me to death but to the most ignominious death. However, do not believe that my human nature did not feel revulsion or pain. On the contrary, I wanted to feel all its revulsion, and be subject to its same condition, giving you an example that may strengthen you in every circumstance in life and may teach you to overcome the aversions offered you when it is a question of fulfilling the divine will. I return to the souls to whom I was speaking yesterday, those souls called to the state of perfection, who argue with grace and retreat when faced with the humility of the path that I show them, fearing how they will be judged by the world or as they assess their capabilities, convince themselves that they will be more useful somewhere else to my service and for my glory. I am going to respond to those souls. Tell me, did I refuse or even hesitate when I saw myself being of poor and humble parents in a stable far from my home and country in the harshest season of the year and at night? Afterwards, I lived 30 years in obscurity doing rough labor in a workshop. I suffered humiliation and disdain at the hands of those who requested work done by Joseph, my father. I did not shrink from helping my mother in the most menial household tasks. Yet, did I not have more talent than what is required to perform the rough trade of a carpenter? I, who at the age of 12, taught the doctors in the temple. But it was the will of my heavenly Father and I glorified him in that way. When I left Nazareth and started my public life, I could have made myself known as the Messiah and Son of God, so that men and women would listen to my teachings with veneration. But I did not do so because my only wish was to fulfill the will of my Father. And when the time of my passion came, through the cruelty of some and the insults of others, the abandonment of my own and the ingratitude of the mob, through the unspeakable martyrdom of my body and the revulsion of my soul, see how with still greater love, I revealed and embraced the will of my heavenly Father. Thus when overcoming difficulties and revulsion, the soul generously submits itself to the will of God, there comes a moment in which, intimately united to Him, the soul enjoys the most indescribable sweetness. What I have said to souls who loathe the humble and hidden life, I repeat to those who are called to labor in constant contact with the world when, instead, they would be attracted to complete solitude and humble and hidden works. Chosen souls, your happiness and perfection does not consist in following the tastes and inclinations of nature, in being known or unknown by creatures, in using or hiding the talent you have, but rather in uniting and conforming yourselves through love and with total submission to the will of God to what is asked of you for His glory and your own sanctification. Enough for today, my little daughter, love and embrace my will joyfully. You know that it is always designed by love. Meditate for a moment upon the unspeakable martyrdom of my heart, upon seeing it valued less than Barabbas. How I remembered the tenderness of my mother when she was embracing me close to her heart. And how vivid were the anxieties and fatigue that my adoptive father suffered to show me his love. How I remembered the benefits I so freely poured over those ungrateful people, giving sight to the blind, restoring health to the sick and the use of their limbs to those who had lost them, feeding the crowds, and bringing the dead back to life. Now to see myself reduced to the most despicable state. I am the most despised of men, and I am being condemned to death like an infamous thief.